Hi, this is David Brown, the author of The Wealthy Farmer, a few years back, and I'm going to read from my latest book the questions that I needed to ask my financial advisors but didn't know what they were. This is actually one of the first webinar series that I'm going to do, and this is session number 1, or the introduction. And as I said, I'm David Brown, the Wealthy Farmer, and I wrote this book for folks in small business and farms that struggle with communications between their financial advisors and themselves. They don't always know what they need to know. They don't always find out what they need to find out. And we don't need to be an accountant, financial advisor, or a financial planner, rather, or a banker in order to understand financial information when it's coming to us. So that's what this book is all about. That's what this webinar series is all about. This book is dedicated to my dear friend, John Cummings. Love you, John, like a brother. Big time. Okay, I'm going to be as professional as I possibly can, but bear with me if things jump around a little bit. I'm going to try to be stable and get this done to your benefit. Introduction and forward. Okay, at the time I was sitting in Cuba and I was dictating the book, the questions I needed to ask my financial advisors but didn't know what they were in farm boy language. Today is Monday, May 16th, 2016. Today is actually September the 4th, 2017. It's taken quite a while to get to this place. At the time, I was sitting in both writing and audibly creating this from beautiful Cayo Coco, Cuba. It was my first time to Cuba. The people are wonderful and genuine. The rest and warm client is to be cherished. That's where all the inspiration came from, where I was when I generated this book, this ebook for you. I promised many of you over the past 3 to 5 years that I would write this book to help you understand financial advisors, including accountants, estate and financial planners, to include bankers even. What I promised you is now written. This is not all inclusive and is going to be edited and updated going forward. I write this book for the many, many small business owners and farm business owners I have met, and those I have not met yet or may never meet, but I care about all of you. I write this one book in order that you get the results you are seeking and service you're promised. That's critical to me. My motivation comes primarily from my father, Stuart C. Brown, or Bud Brown, as he was well known and loved. He left us to take up residence in heaven 19 years ago now, this April 2017. Dad didn't have a close relationship with his financial advisors. I believe he, as well as all of us in business, need to know the right questions to ask. Personally, I needed to ask them too. My grandfather, Stuart A. Brown, knew the right questions to ask advisors. He told me once to save every penny. I didn't listen. What he was instructing me to be was a saver, not a spender. My father-in-law, who went on to be with the Lord 11 years ago from this coming July, in this past July 2017, asked me once, why buy more debt? Why buy more debt? What a question. While I was deciding to purchase my first new automobile by buying more debt. Yes, it cost me thousands and thousands of dollars in interest. Is it okay if I'm just real here? That's what I want to be. I've struggled on and off throughout my entire life with saving and spending, and dominating. I didn't listen. Whose fault was it? My father's, my grandfather's, my father-in-law? Nope, mine and mine alone. It does not stop me from sharing what I've learned over 40 years in the financial services industry with you. I may be still sorting and saving let's go back. I may be still sorting out the saving side of things, but make no mistake, I know the effective way to aid in this right communication, questions, and objectives that must happen for you to get better results. I'll begin with a few testimonies and stories as well. I'm actually turning the pages of the book. It's a short book. Won't take anybody long to read it. If it took you a half a day to read this, it would be too long. There are no favorite authors or people doing the forward or review for this book. I'm also a pastor. God told me to write this book. I listened finally. You know what it is? You know, but you know what was slowing me down? Really? Poor self image and poor self esteem. I didn't believe I was eligible or worthy of writing this particular book. When I wrote my first bestseller, The Wealthy Farmer, I was encouraged by a best-selling author who wrote a book that inspired me. I needed man's approval on that project. I need only God's approval on this project. God is in this. Back in public school, I was bullied physically, and many times I've been bullied verbally, especially regarding finances. Both have attempted to stop me from advancing and writing books like this. Neither has nor will succeed now. Some stories. It was a couple of years ago when I sold a financial services product and made promises based on company marketing materials. Those promises weren't kept. Customers were upset, and I left the company I represented at the time. So that brings me to a very, very, very important conclusion and revelation. Always under promise and always over deliver. This is another reason I write this book, to avoid accounting and tax consulting firms. I'm just going to say this again, to hold accounting and tax consulting firms accountable for the work they promise to do. My experience over 40 years in and around this industry is this. Great financial advisors with great communication skills produce great work and fulfill promises made. Why? They care. And they choose to care, and they communicate that they care. They are passionate about what they are doing, and when they help you profit with information that saves both time and money or makes you money, that will keep you healthy financially, and subsequently the financial advisor will reap what he or she sows into the relationship. The number of times financial issues have come up in my personal life are countless. I have been a saver and a spender, as I mentioned before. Healthy self-esteem and self-image. Poor self-esteem and poor self-image. I now read a chapter from the book of Proverbs daily, and still do. I recently discovered a wonderful ministry called Restoring the Foundations International, based in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Why am I ready to write this book now? I have to finish to complete my life's purpose, and better yet, fulfill my God-given destiny. I realize that self-esteem and self-image have a lot to do with saving or spending. I also see that they play a key role in becoming a saver versus a spender. What plays a key role in saving versus spending? It is self-esteem and self-image. If we believe we can never measure up and paint a poor self-image of ourselves, combined with poor self-esteem, we, like you, can say we don't believe we are worthy to be wealthy. I'm going to repeat that. If we believe we can never measure up and paint a poor self-image of ourselves, combined with poor self-respect, we, like you, can say we don't believe we are worthy to be wealthy. Isn't that the truth? For the past 2 decades, I've seen mentors advise those being mentored to read a proverb for each day of the month. I did, and still do. Then I didn't. I did, and I didn't. Now I am and will remain the rest of my life reading a proverb a day each and every month. I do. A few months ago, I was led by the Holy Spirit to engage Restoring the Foundations International, mentioned earlier. This ministry goes into an integrated approach to life, physical, spiritual, and emotional issues. The integrated approach starts with sins of the fathers and curses. Secondly, spirit soul hurts, ungodly beliefs, and demonic oppression. I'm fully engaging this ministry and everything it has and what it teaches and reveals to get and stay free, to help you and others get and stay free in spirit and body for good. Now I'm going to wrap up. Because of a new and much improved self-image through this ministry, I'm free to write and publish this book. Living proof before all of our eyes. The teachings I have absorbed over the past few months are getting into my heart so I can serve and help others like you. This is the end of the introductory session. The next section, or the next chapter, is called the checklist. We'll call it lesson number 1. I'll be right back.